Hi again, this is Steve Sabadeski, IEBuzz.com. And along with me today, we have Jim Brown and Tyler Bridges. Jim and I are going to ask Tyler some questions. Tyler has been writing about some very important issues in New Orleans. One, the remnants of the Charity Hospital building, and secondly, the World Trade Center, and thirdly, just downtown New Orleans.
I was very much involved in the Capital A projects when it came to building construction of state and local funds. There weren't many local funds back in the 70s, 80s. If you wanted to build, well, the Superdome, for example, in New Orleans, you came to Baton Rouge. When they build the new stadiums in Baltimore and Green Bay and Chicago, the city does all that. But we come to the Capitol for everything. These projects were kind of cookie cutter. You'd build from the ground up. You'd get an architect, put a sum of money there, and it pretty much took care of itself. Today, post-Katrina, we've got these massive new projects, and no one really knows the financial base of them. Tyler, the question I wanted to ask you is, being an investigative reporter and looking at this so much, what kind of does the state, do you think, or the city have proper checks and balances in when it comes to, number one, evaluating these projects, and number two, picking who does the projects?
It's hard to know exactly what's going on. It's hard to know who is offering the best bid. Is the state and the public getting, their money's worth? I just did a story for The Lens. That's why I work for The Lens. It's a nonprofit digital site based in New Orleans, about a bill that Representative Chris Broadwater sponsored that the legislature approved unanimously, and that bill requires every single governmental entity, local or state, to post on their website in a clear way who is the custodian of public records. So if you want to find out what your government is doing and request the proper documents, it should be easier now because of Representative Broadwater's bill. I and others have particularly had problems with the Division of Administration. And Jim, you know what the Division of Administration is. Probably most people in Louisiana don't. It's something of kind of a combination of the Federal Office of Management and Budget, but also has elements of sort of the Treasury Department, I guess, because they manage a lot of different things. And they are the owners, or at least in control of a project that I've been writing about lately, which is the former Charity Hospital building in downtown New Orleans. And at this point, that Charity building is in the hands of the Division of Administration.
So I'm sure when you've got a Charity Hospital, you've got a huge list of things that need to be done. And so financially, is it worth it? And I know you've been looking into that a good bit. I'm kind of an old timer that loves history. I'd kind of hope it stays in some form or fashion. But who makes those decisions, and where are they coming from motivation-wise? One comment to you, by the way, I'm the author of the first Public Records Act that ever existed in Louisiana. I wrote it back in 1974 with then Representative Pepe Bruno, who's now on the Ethics Commission. And I also wrote the Open Meetings Law. And back then, Tyler, there were about 3 exceptions to the Public Records Act. Very few exceptions. That would be very sensitive information that under certain circumstances. Now they've opened up the doors to where seems like there's all kinds of exceptions, and just that people ignore the law. And to deal with that, you got to go sue, and you got to go hire lawyers and spend a ton of money just to get access to something that you would think would be pretty boilerplate, cookie cutter to get it.
Again, you raise a really good point there about the problem of compliance. And as I mentioned earlier, the Division of Administration, I made a public records request actually several months ago for records from for the new hospitals that are going up in New Orleans that you mentioned, Jim. They took like 5 months to reply finally to my public records request, and then I didn't get everything that I think I was entitled to because they cited the deliberative process privilege, which was passed by the legislature in 2009 at the behest of Governor Jindal and his team, And Jimmy Faircloth, the governor's executive counsel, said that would make government more transparent. In fact, it's the general administration has done just the opposite.
Let's talk about Charity Hospital for a second in your story. What's going on there? Do you think we'll see any new tenants occupying the building?
Nobody's talking about tearing it down. As just to remind people, Charity was shut down by the flooding from Katrina, and there were LSU doctors who wanted to go right back in and get it going again, but the Division of Administration, some bureaucrats who the public didn't know, made the decision, no, you could not reopen Charity, and that is what is now leading to the construction that's underway across the I-10 expressway. The Landry administration has talked to Delgado about maybe putting they need a bigger facility for training nurses, again, with these new hospitals opening up, and maybe so they could go into Charity. So there's a lot of things, ideas that are out there. Ultimately, it looks like the vision of administration, i.e. Bobby Jindal, and the state legislature would have to approve what's going to happen. And then there's the question of how would you raise the money.